This is the Black TV Show podcast hosted by Miriam Temeskin. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the last episode of season 3 of the Cosby Show. Crazy. It has been now, I guess, now that we're in September, it feels like we've done this for like 8 months. Crazy. I don't know why I said we, because that's just me, but crazy that it's been 8 months of doing this podcast. I love you all for listening. If your friends are not listening, and make sure they're listening, tell them to listen, and then also subscribe. I can't wait to continue on with what's going to happen for the future episodes. But yeah, let's get into this episode. So this is episode 73, The Cosby Show Season 3, episode 25, Hillman. This episode aired May 7th, 1987. The synopsis of this episode is that the Huxtables visit Hillman College to celebrate the retirement of the school's president. So this episode is setting up the spin-off show A Different World, which will come out the following season, I guess. So when season 4 of The Cosby Show happens, season 1 of The Different World will start. So we start off with Theo is watching, I think he's at a football game, but I could be wrong. It could be a basketball game, but he's watching something, but they're going into overtime or something. Something to that extent. And Cliff was like, we need to go, be all packed up to go to Hillman. We're leaving in 10 minutes. And he tells him that we're taking an airplane. So Theo says like the game went into overtime, and Theo is not packed, but he's mentally packed, and he knows exactly what he's taking. And Cliff was like, what if you want to be physically left behind? And Theo was like, okay, fine, I'm going to go pack. Who packs 10 minutes before their flight, or 10 minutes before they leave to go catch their flight? For me, when I plan things, usually I try to have everything packed up the day before. Of course, you start to remember things the day of, and you're like, oh, I have to add this, but it's usually already packed by the door, and whatever I'm missing, I'll add in afterwards. What is with you and he hasn't been packed? That's crazy. And so Vanessa is on the phone in the kitchen, and I'm not gonna lie, this whole scene that's in this kitchen seems like an advertisement, and I'll let you know why. So Vanessa is on the phone with a friend, and she's telling them goodbye. I'm going to Hillman. I'll be there till Monday, but you can call. I'm going to be at the Hyatt. I think that's the name of the. Let me just double check. Hyatt. I know Hyatt is. I've been to the hotel before in different locations. Probably when I was in the States, but she says, I'll be at the Hyatt hotel, and you can call me anytime, any day, kind of thing. And then when Cliff was in the room, he's like, no, you're not talking to your friend when you're there. Like, he wants you just to be there, present, not talking. But in a way, like the way that she brought it up, it felt like, she's telling us as the audience, we should go to that hotel chain. But the thing is, what the scenes that we're gonna see, I was gonna say this later, but I might as well just say it now. The scenes that they're gonna show at the second part of this episode will be all shot at Spelman College. And if you don't know where Spelman College is, and if you're black, that's not good. But it's in Atlanta, Georgia. So in real life, they're flying to Atlanta. And so the hotel that they're staying at Atlanta is the Hyatt Hotel. But like the way that they're advertising it is that they're going to Virginia, and they're going to stay at this hotel. So this whole scene just seems very weird to me. If you watch it without researching about it, it's like, it's cool. But it's like when you learn about this stuff, it's like, because, when we watch A Different Worlds, most of the exterior shots will be shot at, I believe, Spelman and maybe Morehouse also, or a different other HBCU, but I'll look into it once we get into those episodes in A Different World. But this scene just is so weird. So finally Cliff tells Vanessa, like, like you need to get packed, you need to bring your luggage down. And she's like, okay, I will. And she tries to call again, and he's like, who are you trying to call? And she was like, I'm trying to call, I think, Jeanette Newton. I think I said it wrong. I don't know who this is, but basically she needs to say goodbye to 9 of her other friends. Like, that's how many people are on her list. Why do you need to say goodbye? I was thinking, I'm like, is she about to die, or is she gone for like 2 months? If it's 2 months, I understand, but if she's coming back on Monday, it seems like that's not even like a full, well, we don't know if it's the weekend, but and I don't know if they would have missed school because this episode aired in May 7th, so I'm not sure, but it's I'm like, you don't need to say goodbye. They'll be there when you come back. Don't worry. And so Cliff tells her, go get your luggage and then go talk to Jeanette and say goodbye to her 9 times, and then she will pass it along to the rest of your friends. And she's like, okay, fine. So she goes and gets the luggage. And Rudy comes upstairs from the basement with towels because apparently Claire forgot to pack them in the luggage. Cliff points out they don't need towels because the hotel provides them. Yet again, I feel like this is an advertisement for the Hyatt hotel. I feel like I'm really advertising that hotel now on this episode. But yeah, this is it seems like a paid advertisement scene for these companies because they were able to stay at the Hyatt restaurant. Why did I say the restaurant? Hyatt's hotel for free for the stay of the show or for the episode. And he points out that they have shampoo, they might have fruits, and they might have flowers. And Rudy was like, we should live in a hotel. Doesn't that remind you of something? Do you remember that show on Disney that's called The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody? There's literally a show about this lifestyle. And based on that show, we realized we do not want to live in a hotel. It's not fun. So, of course, The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody came out like 20 years after this show aired, or this episode aired, so it's a different story. But I don't know if that's a good idea to live in a hotel. So then Claire brings the car around. She's ready to go. We're going to Hillman. And Cliff and Claire start reminiscing about Hillman and then talking about what they're going to do when they get there. They'll be able to walk around all these places around Hillman, just like when they were young teenagers or young adults. And then we are off to Hillman. So I wanted, because I remember they were saying Hillman is in Virginia. And so I wanted to look it up exactly. So Hillman College is a fictional historical black college, so HBCU, that is located in the state of Virginia. The exact location of the school is never revealed, but it's alluded that it's halfway between Richmond and the Hampton Roads area. So I've been to Virginia myself a few times now. And I've also been to New York, and I've driven from, not Virginia, but I've driven from Maryland. I've driven from New York City to Maryland, of course, stopping in Philadelphia. But it seems to me it's just like a road trip to get there, but they all decided to take a plane. So it was just like, oh, this is weird. So the plane must be like less than an hour based on if it's, so what it says is if I go from New York City to Virginia, it's 5 hours and 41 minutes. So I guess they really just didn't want to take the road trip. I'm not sure. So I don't know why they took a plane, but I want to mention, this is what from researching about this episode. So this next scene, usually cut out of syndication shows, which is weird. I guess because it's it must be because it's advertisement. But with the one that I had, I was able to see the scene particularly. Is the Eastern Airlines airplane taking the Huxtable from New York City to Virginia, with the voiceover from the pilot thanking the passengers from traveling on Eastern Airlines. Eastern put up money for the traveling expense for this episode in exchange for a plug for the airline. I've never heard of Eastern Airline, so I was just like, is that still existing? So apparently it existed until 1991, and then it kind of had like a reboot, but like not really, because I don't know where they fly. I've never heard of it. Like the ones that I know the most if I go to the States is like Delta. Though that's the one probably I take the most when I'm going to the States. But yeah, Eastern I've never heard of. Let me know if you've been on an Eastern airline. I was just quickly looking over about it, and they've had a lot of accidents that cause death. So that's not good. Maybe that put them out of business. I'm not sure. So we cut to Denise, who is in her dorm room rushing to clean her room. Another note here is Denise's dorm room and roommate are different than what would be established in the show A Different World. As I said, this episode is setting up for the next season of A Different World. That's why they have this episode. It's kind of like a backdoor pilot in a way. This is probably a better backdoor pilot than the one that we had in season 1 for that Tony's. I don't even know what the show was going to be called, but that one was just horrible. This one was better because at least they were like in every scene. I feel like the family was actually in every scene. It wasn't other people. And so Denise is rushing to clean her room. She overslept and forgot to clean up, I guess. And she almost missed picking up her parents or her family from the airport because she overslept. And she also had to hide her calendar. That I call it the hunk calendar with all these hot guys, and cover it with a dog calendar because her mom and Sandra are coming into the room. And so they come, but they took some time before coming to the room, and Sandra said that she stalled Claire from coming up to Denise's room to clean up her room because basically Sandra has gone through this before when she was at Princeton. When her parents came to visit her on campus, she would clean up at the last minute, and so Claire goes to this one drawer, and she finds the dirty laundry that Denise tried to hide a few seconds ago, basically. So Claire just knows her daughter really well, and Sandra, as I said, pointed out that this is the same thing that happened at Princeton. So we meet Phyllis, the roommate, but she's only there for a quick second, and so Denise says, let's meet the rest of the girls on the floor, and Claire was like, okay, but before she leaves, she checks the calendar, and she finds out the calendar is of all men, basically, the hunk men, or whatever you call it, back in the day. And so we cut to Cliff being in a classroom with Theo, and this is where he took Philosophy 101 on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays with Dr. Harris, or I guess based on IMDb, he's credited as Dean Harris. And Cliff says he loved his class. The professor would say, your brain is the most important muscle in your body, and I am going to whip it into shape. And Cliff says he was one of Dr. Harris's prize students. Not true, but okay. We'll give him that props. And so Dr. Harris comes in, and Cliff introduces himself to Dr. Harris, and because Dr. Harris has had so many students over the years, so how does he just remember one specific student, right? I know all the professors that taught me, they probably don't know who I am. If they walked past me, they would not know who I am because they've taught like thousands of students. So of course he wouldn't know. So Cliff introduced himself, and Dr. Harris says, oh yeah, you were the guy that sat at the very back behind the basketball player, so I wouldn't see you sleeping in class. Dr. Harris was like, oh, Cliff was a memorable student. And Dr. Harris says that Cliff wouldn't know the answer because Cliff wouldn't know the answers to the question. So he would ask a question, but then he would, start saying a whole bunch of things that don't even make sense to answer the question because he doesn't know how to answer the question. But by the end of the year, he was the most improved student. And Dr. Harris was surprised to find out that Cliff is a doctor. He's a OGBYN, okay? Because he was like, damn, like he actually has done something good with his life, basically, in a way. That's how the way that he is reacting. And so Dr. Harris tells Theo that Cliff is a living proof that a Hillman education can save anyone. So he's basically just advertising to Theo, like, you better come to Hillman or any other HBCU because they will save your butt, okay? Theo also says, oh, my mom also went here. And Dr. Harris is surprised that Claire married Cliff. Just very surprised. And he even says that Claire was a class leader. Like, how did you get her to marry you? And Cliff just laughs. And we end Act 1 there, and we go into Act 2. And as I said, for the rest of this act, we're not in a studio audience. We will be at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. Spelman College is actually an all-girls school. Keisha Knight Pulliam, who plays Rudy Huxtable, actually went there and graduated from there. I don't know what she studied, but she actually went there, so it's crazy. If I ever get to talk to her, I'll be like, did this episode get you wanting to go to Spelman? That's probably a question I would probably ask her. And so basically we get to meet the president of Hillman, who is Dr. Zachariah Haynes. And, we find out Russell was in the class of 1936, which to me that is so wrong because Earl Hyman was born in 1926. So he would have been 10 graduating from college. Not right. So they either making Russell be an older person compared to what Earl's age is, because when I looked at Clarence, I can never say her name right, who plays Anna, she was born in 1917, so that would make a bit more better. It's still young, but it makes more sense. So I don't know if they're trying to make Earl Hyman be older than or make Russell older than Earl Hyman. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's probably what they were thinking. But yeah, that 1936 didn't make sense to me. So Dr. Zachariah is mad that Sandra picked Princeton over Hillman, and everyone's just dogging her. And then Rudy points out she will be coming to Hillman. She wants to be a writer, a veterinarian, and a senator. And Dr. Haynes was like, I think you need to enroll at Hillman now if you want to do all that stuff. So true. That's going to take you years of education right there. And so Claire is excited that she gets to sing in the choir. She's back in the choir. I guess when she was in Hillman back when she was a student, she would sing in the choir. So she's happy that she gets to be back with them. And Cliff gets to be the MC for today's ceremony. And so Cliff was like, see, I knew that he was going to ask me to do something. That's why they invited us over here. And Dr. Haynes says, the only reason why you're doing it is because the man that was supposed to do it got sick. And everyone laughs at Cliff because, see, clearly he was not part of any of the plans for this ceremony. And so we cut to this parade of all the graduates walking on a road towards the main hall. All excited. We see Russell, which is very weird. I thought Anna also went to Hillman because, you remember the episode where Denise decides where she wants to go. Anna talks about like, oh, that's where I met Russell. Like some of these storylines kind of are not in line. They're not aligned. They're not flowing. But so to me, it was just weird that Anna was not part of this parade. Like, wouldn't she be 1936 or 1937 or something like that? I don't know. There's someone dropped the ball here with the writers. I don't know. So we go into this main hall where they're doing the ceremonies for Dr. Haynes, where Cliff introduces himself first, and then he introduces the next president of Hillman, who is a woman. She has been a professor for 18 years. Her name is Dr. Barbara Bracey. So she gets to talk. She took the position because it is Hillman. I swear, she says it so many times. And she remembers the time when she was in her senior year at Hillman, and she had doubts of going to grad school. She was like, I don't think I would be good enough to go to these like Ivy League schools like Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, all this stuff. But she talked to Dr. Haynes, and he said that an A at Hillman is an A everywhere, and gave her the confidence to continue to study at Hillman. And now this is where she is. And so she finishes her talk, and the choir with including Claire Huxtable, or I guess in this case Claire Hanks, who is singing lead for this choir. So they sing the song "All Good Things Will Be Added Until You." And I believe this song was so "All Good Things Be Added Up to You" is composed by Shelton Benton, which I believe there was another song, I can't remember, in season 2 that was composed by him. So this guy must have been like the composer for the Cosby Show, clearly, because I can never find like if there's an original. So of course, at this end of this episode, I will play you this song, because it's Phylicia Rashad's voice can do no wrong. Oh, it is amazing. It's beautiful. So we'll definitely get to listen to it. But Cliff introduces them and introduces Claire as Claire Hanks, graduate of 1905, and everyone starts laughing because that's so unrealistic. She basically would not be alive at this point, because she graduated in 1905. She would be over 100 years old. Well, no, not over, but she would be very old, basically. And so then they do their song, and it's beautiful. And so then they end and they leave. And Dr. Zachariah J. Haynes gets to talk now, because this is the man that we're celebrating and honoring. He has been at Hillman for 53 years and is now retiring. So he talks about, like, even though he's retiring, he'll still be hanging around campus. And even Dr. Bracey cannot kick him out of campus because his wife does not want him hanging around the house. And he also mentions that he doesn't want to talk about social justice, racial harmony, and peace on earth. Basically, he says the summary of his thing is like, make sure when you get out into the world, to hire Hillman graduates in the future, because Hillman grads should never walk alone. I believe this so hardly. Like, if I'm in a position where I'm able to hire people, I would rather hire women and people of color. I'm not hiring the white man. That's just not my thing, because I've been surrounded by that in the industry for the last 3 years. So it's like, yeah, so I agree with what he was saying. And this is such a thing that the whole Black Lives Matter movement has got us thinking. And also with Ava DuVernay, who has her Array production, where she focuses on putting people of color and women in leadership positions. I remember for the show Queen Sugar, she made sure that every director was a woman. And she made it happen, and she proved to people that is possible if you look far and hard to find these people, because clearly these productions only look for the white man. So Dr. Haynes is talking about is being implemented with what Ava DuVernay is currently doing with all her productions and with her Array, what do you call it? It's a database of having women of color or women and people of color, so productions can go on that database and look up for these people and then hire them. And it's just amazing, and I'm part of that too, because I do want to get hired more often. So I love how he ended the speech, and we end the episode right there. This is the last episode of season 3. Wow, crazy. 3 seasons of the Cosby Show we've already done. Crazy. So the guest stars for this episode was Earl Hyman, Clarence Taylor. We've talked about them many times. Then we had Gloria Foster. She's been in the Matrix. She's also been an I Spy, so she's worked with Bill Cosby before. Lately, there's have been a few people that have been in I Spy, we've noticed. And she, of course, sadly passed away in 2001 at the age of 67. Then we had, and she was the one who played Dr. Barbara Bracey. And then we had Ted Ross, who was in The Jefferson, The Wiz, Benson, What's Happening Now, 227, Different Worlds. And he's reprising his role as Dean Harris for Different Worlds, of course. So that makes sense. As I said, a lot of people went back and forth with these shows. And unfortunately, he also passed away in 2002 at the age of 68. And then we have Phyllis, I can't say her last name, Stickney. She was in New Jack City, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X. Clearly, she was friends with Spike Lee. She was in Jungle Fever and Malcolm X. She also was in How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And as I mentioned, Phyllis was, so she's appeared in this episode, but she will also appear in a few episodes of the first season of A Different World as the same character. However, Phyllis's role was never more than a bit character, playing one of Gilbert's Hall's many residents. So unfortunately, she just never got a lead role in the show, but we'll get to see her when we go into season 1. And of course, as I said, she played Denise's roommate. And then we had Joe Sania. I can't say his last name right. He's the one who plays Dr. Zachariah J. Haynes. He was in School Days, 227, Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X, and as I said, he also unfortunately passed away at the age of 77 in 1996. And then there was another person credited in the credits that said Samuel Cosby. Clearly, this person must have been a family member of Bill Cosby, but there is no information of that person, and I was trying to figure out who that would have been in this episode, but I couldn't figure it out. So I'm not sure who that was. Maybe I should rewatch it and just be like, where is Samuel Cosby is? So, and as I mentioned, there was no studio audience for the entire second half of the episode. And in the credits, there was a special thanks to Spelman College. This was filmed at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. The episode serves as a backdoor pilot for the spin-off show or series, A Different World, which premiered the very next season. And then also in the credits, it says air transport furnishes by Eastern Airlines and hotel accommodations furnished by the Hyatt Regency. I think that's how you say it. So they got free flight and a free hotel basically for this episode in exchange for promo basically. So as I said, that scene at the beginning, it felt like more of a promo for the hotel because of the towels, about her saying I will be at the Hyatt Hotel, Vanessa saying I'll be at the Hyatt Hotel. So yeah, a lot of promo in this episode. Crazy to think. And I think that's a thing that happens in a lot of shows, because if you wanted to travel somewhere, especially I feel like Disneyland or Disney World, in a lot of shows, I remember for Full House, they went to Disney World, they probably got free stay just so they're promoting Disney World so people can go. And I think that episode that I saw of Disneyland or Disney World from Full House actually got me interested of going to Disneyland when I went to LA the first time when I was 11. So it does good. It's good promo for kids, basically. So the lesson for this episode is go to a HBCU for your education. If you are under 18 right now listening to this podcast and you live in the States, make sure to go to a HBCU. If I had the choice to go back in time, and I guess if I lived in the States, because I don't know if I could be living in Canada and then decide to go to HBCU, because y'all, your colleges and university are very expensive compared to Canada. It's much cheaper to go to school here in Canada. But if it was up to me, I would go to Howard University because all the legends have been there, like Phylicia Rashad, Debbie Allen, Chadwick Boseman, Taraji P. Henson, Anthony Anderson. And the list goes on. There's so many people. So I would love to go to Howard University. It would have been a great experience if I went. But of course, I did not go there. But I have a question for the people that have gone to HBCU. If you have gone, let me know which one you went to and how your experience was using the hashtag Hillman, Twitter and Instagram, Black TV Shows Pod. I would love to hear, is Hillman on your list? As I said, Keisha Knight Pulliam went to Spelman College, so she did go to a HBCU, the one that they actually showed on this episode. So it's pretty cool. So let me know. And so programming details for the rest of the year is that this upcoming Thursday we'll do the season 4 premiere for The Cosby Show, and then starting next week, 7 days from today, 1 week from today basically, we'll start with A Different World, and that will be Mondays for the rest of the year, A Different World, and Thursdays will be The Cosby Show. The reason why I'm doing that is because that way we're aligned, because these episodes did air the same nights. And so it's nice to, within a week, to see what happened during that 1 week or that one Thursday that it aired at that time. So that's why I'm doing it like that. I know the people that love the Cosby Show would want me to continue, but I want it because, as I said, this podcast is called the Black TV Show Pod, so I can't be just talking about one show at a time. And I wanted to do another show at the beginning in January, but it just didn't make sense. So I was like, you know what? Let's do first 3 seasons of Cosby Show, and then we'll add another show. So now we're adding in Different Worlds. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be dreading season 1 of The Different Worlds, because the season 1 was horrible, because it was written and the whole production was done by white people, because white people cannot tell black stories. I'm telling you that right now. Black people should be telling black stories, and white people could be telling their white stories, okay? I can't wait for season 2 when Debbie Allen comes and produces and directs it using her own experience from Howard University. So I can't wait. Okay, so we're going to end this episode with Phylicia Rashad and the choir from this episode. All Good Things Will Be Added Up to You, composed by Sheldon Beckton. And I will see you all on the next one. Seek ye first